starting to get better and better, so we'll see what happens.
Let's do it. Map 1 has begun this decisive match. We are on Cooler's point of view at the moment as he is going to be getting first blood on Razy. He's still got a bit of a stack to work with, so he's going to just push it in on Sparty, but he has got something to say about it.
Sparty with some absolutely incredible combat skill, and there are some fights, as long as he's got a rocket launcher, he can turn the tide, unless the life difference is, you know, utterly ridiculous. But as you mentioned there, Cooler with a stack, I think that's going to be a statement we're going to be mentioning a fair amount throughout the course of this series. The goal keeping Cooler as chunky as he can be. We see him rock that visor time and time again, almost a fitting manner, really. I feel like visor as a champion fits all of Cooler's strengths to a T.
Yeah, I mean, what Raph is saying there, if Cooler can really carry, then certainly AMD can be the ones to take themselves through to the next day. Oh Cooler, it looks for the mid-air, but finds a splash on the floor, and is going to send AMD into a single-point lead. And with limited information as to where they're going to be, that's why we see the piercing sight get popped. Now they have more than enough knowledge. The danger is that they are going to be split up. Cooler before the heavy didn't have a super impressive stack, so when they're split up, going to force those 1v1 situations. The Traby getting hit by ring out as well. Whoa, it must have been a max. I think it was a max distance rocket, and it must have just knocked him off. But this is Awoken. This is the map for ring outs. Well, he has spawned nearby, Cooler, so he can still support him. Solid rocket onto Razy, getting a splash down onto Sparty too. Sparty will drive by and take the Trommy out, but there's a totem on the side. Cooler keeps on landing rockets. Now LG, but the amount of damage he got out before he went down was absolutely phenomenal. Now, Razy was still going for those kind of like brave point-blank rails. You always have to say they're a bit of a risk, even in a 2v1 situation. Missing his final rocket, which is unfortunate. Cooler, oh my god, he's been picking up double kills all day, and that's definitely not going to be the last time we see it. But the double kill spells a little bit of disaster from Myztro EU. Now they're going to have to kind of really pile in if they want to fight for this quad. They kind of put themselves at risks of dying now, of which they're going to die immediately, and now fresh off the spawn with no weapons, they now have to deal with quad. Yeah, perfect stuff from Cooler. Great use of piercing sight. Won't be able to use it now in the quad run, so I don't know how many frags Trommy will be able to get. But look at the health. He's not going to be scared to just push through, possibly even a teleporter. He's not going to take that much risk. All right. Well, Trommy actually surprisingly conservative in his play. I think he was actually more than happy to call that bluff, and he went for the jump pad straight away, kind of expecting them to come back, and he did do just that. AMD have a chunky lead, 12 frags to 5. He should be able to pick this one up as well with a little bit of damage before quad ran out. The totem's going to keep him nice and healthy. 2v1 kind of came in a little bit too late for it to matter, but Razy does manage to get the 1-for-1 trade regardless. Razy popping piercing sight. Actually, good thing to know. No Doom. We're seeing Visor. That is a good point, actually. It's not usually the case. It's usually Doom almost everywhere, and we definitely saw him use Doom previously here. I think, to be fair, if they're going to be aware of how AMD are approaching 2v2 and how Visor is an extension of that really calculated, slow, methodical playstyle, I feel like they might almost need to have a Visor on their side to be able to kind of compete with that. If they're going to have loads of vision, which helps them plan out how to play, Myztro kind of need to be able to keep up with that playstyle. Very quiet all of a sudden on the map. Myztro happy to hold this position. There's 35 seconds to the protection. We want to make sure we get it. We're behind, so no need to press forward now. Yeah, if AMD manage to catch someone maybe overextending, if they get one good rail, if they can catch sight of somebody 20 seconds before the power-up, this is a good time to make something happen. This piercing sight's not going to be ready before the power-up spawn, so this is only going to be really good if they're able to lock down this protection. Solid frag onto the Trommy. Now Cooler is under pressure as well. Razy's just staying locked in with Zoom, and that is going to be AMD spawning on the other side of the map, and probably not able to push in time to get this protection. What the hell, the rockets, Cooler! That one missed rail allowing Latromi to kind of run rampant, and then Cooler just flying in at the speed of light from the right-hand side. That was 30 seconds of absolute downtime, and then 5 seconds of a hyper-aggressive rush. Cooler's timing on that power-up was spot on. Razy was looking at the floor like, are you going to spawn yet? Please spawn, and it just wouldn't happen. They do manage to take it back, but the damage has been done. I feel like, I think that might have been why he was totally happy using that teleporter with 10 HP, because even if he goes down, they weren't able to actually secure a frag with that protection, so it was a bit, you would almost think it was questionable at the beginning, but then when you realize the time that was left on power-up, it makes a lot of sense as to why he used that teleporter there. And a 6-frag lead. Still very, very comfortable for AMD. Bounce pass heard. Sparty not going with any spam over there. Oh, Trommy falls. He was clearly incredibly weak then. It's going to spawn right next to his. That's a good spawn. Still a minute away. AMD, though, I wouldn't be surprised if they're comfortable to just hold the spot on rail, looking over heavy, down the corner, around by Mega Health, and just wait it out until the quad spawns.
Well, we did see that last time, but it was on kind of the receiving end. It very much was like 30 seconds of, I don't want to say very little, because every second matters when you're planning a strategy, and it was very deliberately sort of planned out, but I wonder if we're going to see almost like a repeat of that throughout the course of this map. We have now hit that 30-second mark, so we're going to see what the play is going to be. Awoken, such a unique map for fighting for the power-up, because this half of the map is so dominant. So many of the glory pickups, Rail, Heavy, Mega, they're all on this kind of left-hand side.
Crazy double kill with the rail. That helps out a lot. Only 5 frags of difference. It's now 10 seconds for the power-up to be spawning. Crazy with the heavy. Surely going to be able to make a strong push now. Sparty's over by the rail spawn. There is Cooler pushing in himself, but it is going to be Myztro able to take this, and Crazy still with a stack that he can contest with. That is going to be Latromi deleted, but makes it a 1-for-1, so not bad at all for AMD. There's still a lot of time for damage to be done.
And now we're going to see the retreating come forward. They're not going to want to mess with this power-up whatsoever. They're going to sort of like sit near those teleporters, I think. As you can see, them kind of really hanging out there. The second they catch sight of quad, they're going to use it, force him to change around. That's going to be 1 frag, but we very well might see 1 of a max of 2. It's going to put Myztro EU back in the fight. You know, they're not going to take the lead on this, but the quad, definitely beneficial.
Nice. This is like the previous series we saw between the two teams. Incredibly competitive. Crazy weak, but still picking up the kills. He's got his trusty teammate there throwing him the totems, trying to get him back to a stack where he can fight again ASAP.
Oh, he goes for the rocket switch, jumping down, caught in the air by the LG. A little bit of a hasty decision to try and take the heavy in time. Might have actually thought it was going to spawn a little bit earlier. I think it might have helped him in the 1v1, but unfortunately just a little bit mistimed.
Go check out Cooler sitting in mid, just gets a splash off the wall, but Latromi comes in front of him and is able to tank the damage a little bit while he's weak. They've got a very, very small and fragile lead.
I think that's the point, isn't it? Small and fragile lead is, I think that's something we might see throughout this entire map. They just keep going 1-for-1. And you do see those TDM matches. We are seeing, I think, quite a clear adaptation here from Myztro EU.
Great rocket jump by Sparty. He managed to get 2 kills from that as well. Tying up the scores, looking to deny the Mega Health, but the rail's not there in time, and now Cooler gets himself a 1-for-2. He is incredibly weak though. I wonder when he's going to use the piercing sight. It's actually going to be straight away. He's looking to do it on the lead up to the quad.
The longer it can take them to sort of keep these guys away from the power-up is obviously going to be better. And fragging him right before heavy, that's like best case scenario for Cooler, particularly because he got heavy and the next power-up is going to be protection.
He's always finding him at the right angle. He is going to be able to get the protection. His health and armor is fine. The rocket is going to rain down on Sparty. He should be able to get rid of Crazy. This is crushing from Cooler. 6 frags in the lead, and I can definitely smell another 2 possibly. He's got his last rocket to get the rocket jump. Going to be able to protect Latromi there, who was in the 1v1, and able to get towards the end of this protection with the heavy in his control still. I mean, it doesn't really get better than this.
It's kind of crazy how you can see that one well-managed power-up can just spell disaster. We saw it on Corrupted Keep when these guys actually fought in the upper bracket. Latromi's crazy run where, you know, it kind of looked like things were promising, and then like within less than a minute, we saw a complete turnaround because of one miscalculated power-up.
Well, AMD guys certainly not discouraged from their match with Liquid, as they seem to be performing at almost a higher level to what we saw in the game they had with Myztro before. Rocket towards the LG, pressure going to be on
with
Sparty.
Another double, why not?
He's on 24-11 right now, certainly leading the way on the server.
Well, you know, Rafa did mention this actually before the break, was that the strategy is actually entirely built around letting Cooler being this killing machine. And that's pretty much what we're seeing on this map. Is he going to get another double? I mean, why not?
Oh my god.
That's what he's been doing all map. Yeah, just give us another one, Cooler. Thank you so much.
He's just knocking in all the frags right now. 11 to the good for AMD. There's still possible for a comeback to happen from Myztro. And we are coming up to an important quad. You can see now they've managed to work their way towards the power, but they're pushing a little bit too far. I think they might have overcommitted to that angle, and now Cooler is going to punish them for it. Yeah, I believe so. You kind of look at Cooler's stack right there and go, well, if they try and take a fight at a bad spot, then maybe Cooler can't really fight, but it's absolute patience. Patience is the #1 thing that AMD have been showing off the whole time. Well, let's quickly jump into comms with Myztro for this quad.
Behind, rocket. I take. I'm 9 health. They are in LG room. 1T. He's on quad. I can't challenge.
Coming, just don't push. Brody.
On quad or rail. Curve both.
Heavy now.
I need LG, don't pick it up.
Go mega.
On my way. Visor is already there. They took it.
Push.
I really like the coordination with these guys in the sense that they're temporarily behind, but it's really not prohibiting them from being more coordinated. You know, sometimes these teams, they stop talking, maybe they give up the ghost a little bit. Yes, this is map 1, but I feel like there's a lot of determination in EU.
Oh my god, what the hell did Cooler just do to Razy then? Round the corner, 100% LG. That was insane. But it was a nice time to catch up with the Myztro guys. They made a nice little comeback on the score lead a little bit, and they're now within 5, 4?
Yeah, it's going to be even less now. Yeah, 4. That one frag, a little bit of a misplaced totem actually. It's quite costly throwing the totem down there because it's going to force them to sort of really give up that high ground and then have to use the jump pad to get back up, which can be a death sentence. We saw that Cooler basically 100% LG.
It basically happened then as well. It wasn't Piercing Slide to do that, but the AMD timed the push and they had that lower position exactly the way you said it. And they lost out on that rail position. Where next power-up again is going to be incredibly decisive. And if Myztro get it, we're certainly going to be looking at closing out on a quad.
Now 13 seconds until we see this power-up, and I want to remind you guys about the timer. This map is very much nearly over. This could be one of the last power-ups that we actually see. Cooler pushed away a little bit, but using the jump pad, I actually still think he very much has the advantage because Sparty, minimal ways to escape there. Using the jump pad to get up would have died for free because that's an easy rail. And there's the power-up. Effortlessly picked up. Latromi now is going to run a bit of a rampage. Fantastic rail from Cooler. I love the combos that you can see from these 2v2 teams. One rocket or one knockback. That was just an insane rocket.
Oh, almost following it up through the hole in the wall. They're a little bit of pressure from Razy, and it is about now. They've let that lead slip a bit. But fortunately, Razy's hitting hard. But of course, the end of that protection is what allowed Latromi to make it some good things happen again. If Myztro are able to slow things down towards the next squad and not give up too many kills, and obviously the 50 soon approaching, then we could possibly get a last-minute comeback from Myztro.
Yeah, this is always the difficult situation because as every single one of these frags goes down, it's just become exponentially harder for Myztro EU to get anything going. The room for error, I mean, the room for error ended 5 frags ago.
A lot of people very weak. Actually, Cooler the only person who's got an even vaguely good stack right now.
Of course.
He will take everything. Ooh, decent rocket.
But with the timer on their side, AMD, yes, they would like to win by frag limit, but if they have this massive lead, I think they're going to be happy playing conservative. If there's one team actually in this tournament that's happy to slow the pace down if it's going to get them the win, it's going to be AMD.
Yeah, completely. They know they've got to chase the frags a little bit and take some risks now. Razy, he's hovering around the heavy area. Sparty looks like he's scanning for opportunities for kills. And I think Cooler's even holding his spawns already, quite possibly.
That definitely wouldn't surprise me.
Ooh, nasty. And we had Razy, he went up the bounce pad as well. Latromi gets himself a double then. That's going to make it 9 frags of difference with a minute to go. It's going to have to be a miraculous comeback if Myztro want to get this done.
Now we're in that 1 minute warning. I mean, we're at that position now where we're saying we're pretty much going to say wrap it up. This is going to be AMD's map. Cooler collecting the quad damages. To be honest with you, completely secured that. So for another time, this is where Myztro EU, I think they're already going to be talking about the next map. How do we approach it? What do we do differently? Because they had a really, really good start, but in typical fashion, AMD ran away with it about halfway through, and they just could not recover. 2v2 can be such a snowbally map, but with Cooler just playing on fire like that, then that's it. Map 1 is over and AMD one step closer to qualifying and Myztro EU in close danger of being eliminated.
Yep. Might not see a single Myztro team making it over to day 3. Those lovely double rockets right at the end just to close out those kills. Just quickly to see, Cooler on 28 frags there, Latromi 22, Razy 21, Sparty 17. Similar sort of net though difference for Sparty and Razy. Negative net, obviously. But yeah, we are going to move over to another map, and it's time for
It's crunch time.
This
is the moment. This is the situation where I think, as a competitive player, when you get put in this position, when it's one game away from elimination, every single mistake you might make will just cost you dearly. The one thing is, they're going to have the benefit of seeing how Liquid were able to defeat AMD earlier, and I mentioned that because we're going into Corrupted Keep next, and this was a map that Rafa specifically said we wanted to fight AMD on. If they were our opponents, because they thought the second Myztro EU were able to get going. It's when they were playing fast, they were playing aggressive, and it was getting the job done. When they were, I think, pushed away from that play style is when they started to struggle. So I think that's actually quite an easy piece of adaptation for Myztro EU, where they kind of go into this map knowing that that's basically what they have to do. They've seen this team lose on this map in a certain way, and they need to try and essentially mirror that. And they've got the talent to try and get that done.
I'm curious to see if Razy's actually going to go with Doom or Visor, because although I think Visor's a better pick, I think Razy's been practicing Doom a lot more. And to change up your strategies completely in a tournament, mid-tournament, even though I think Visor's better, I don't know if you can switch that fast. If you're not as well rehearsed, maybe it is better to go back to Doom and just make that champion work for you, play the perfect game with him, and you can still take down the map for sure.
Well, when there are moments in this map where they were able to get stuff going with the lineup they essentially had, then you wouldn't count them out to essentially make that work. But we're going into the what could be our final map. It has begun, Corrupted Keep. Sorry, I missed about 10 seconds, but I'm sure it's all right. We only just saw one frag. There you go.
Well, this is it. Crunch time for the Myztro boys. It is going to be AMD getting the first couple of kills. Going to follow Latromi for a moment. I'll quickly tab over and see. We are getting Visor Galena, so Razy electing to stick with the Visor for the time being. Ooh, Latromi, oh my god, the momentum that he had, there was no way he was going to be able to avoid that totem. So totem buys Myztro their first frag. I'm going to be with Razy for a second.
I feel like Corrupted Keep is such a uniquely aggressive map in general for this game, like especially in 2v2 where there's going to be Galena, there's going to be totems down. You get put in situations where you kind of have to take the risk of using the teleporter because you're going to die if you do, you're going to die if you don't. Right there, Razy managing to actually sort of push through. That 100 damage rocket should secure a double, and it is going to be that Sparty finishes the job there. Moments away from a second totem, and the second they start to add up, this map becomes so scary to maneuver around on. Ooh, the surprise of super nails. My word. Now,
the room you see Cooler in right now is incredibly important. The Mega Health spawns down below and the Lightning Gun up at the top. It's really important for the teams to look at controlling that room and then build their game pushing outside of that. So you're going to see that the teams likely controlling that room the most efficiently are probably going to be getting the more frags, or start getting those frag sprees more often than not.
I think particularly because there's no railgun on this map. Normally, if you sort of try to go for like the golden trio of powerful weapons to get the job done, it'll be rocket, rail, and LG, and with one of those missing,
oh my god,
it just further enforces the importance of the remaining two.
Cooler's having a tournament right now. The amount of damage he's been able to output has just been sensational from him. He's above the quad. He's looking to take it. Rocket's good at the top. There's a totem down below. Don't need to worry about that too much.
I'm actually kind of surprised at the lack of power-up presence we saw from Myztro. Yes, they got Latromi, but one frag for losing quad, that's not good. That's not a good odds in my book.
I don't know why they were pushing Cooler over there. They knew exactly where he was. They decided they would rather face him than run away. Cooler's now taking heavy. He's still got a few seconds, so he can punish. Going with the shotgun forward. Hasn't got any lightning gun ammunition left. Rocket with the last second of quad almost hits the mark, but Latromi's cleaned up one, and he's now looking to possibly aggress and take over this important room.
But that's what we see consistently from players like Latromi, where Cooler is being that kind of player that puts on the pressure, forces the opponents to kind of move in parts of the map where he wants them to go, because he's so oppressive with the way that he approaches this game, no matter what the game mode is. Latromi's excellent at kind of just flanking those points. They ran away from his quad the whole time, but they were still losing frags because Latromi was just picking them off as they were running away.
You could see beforehand that Cooler and Latromi were on the outside of the lightning gun on the other side. Actually, we don't want to push in right away. We don't need to get the frags as we're in the lead, but eventually saw Myztro pushing out and they were able to pick up the kills, and all of a sudden the counterplay, the weakened players from Myztro couldn't hold the fort up, and now Cooler and Latromi have gained access to this room.
If you're going to be playing on Corrupted Keep regularly, it's not going to be having knowledge of how to hold the room as well. It's going to be when it's out of your hand, how can you efficiently take it back? Because if you can take it back really fast, you're going to be giving up minimal frags. Whereas obviously if it takes a lot longer, they kind of start to trickle down. If you can take people out one at a time, that snowball effect of it going 1, 1, 1, 1 will just continue to happen. And with 15 seconds left on the power-up, again, these fights in particular are going to be super important.
Oh, the drop down with the lightning gun. Razy rockets, then to shotgun. Latromi's able to secure the heavy armor. It's a great little attack from him. There's going to be a couple of seconds left until this. He's going to try and defend so that he can pick it up. He might even have a totem remaining, but 2 kills for Cooler, and Latromi feeling good.
Now, with this power-up run taking place for AMD, we're going to be interested to see what Myztro EU have to say, so we're going to jump into their comms right now.
Don't pay close to each other.
One lava. Heavy.
Item spawns now.
Look heavy.
-100 on Myztro. They're both main. Mid. I got Mega 58. I'm on
Tele,
shaft.
not Tele. No, going tunnel.
Come shaft.
Here. Both mid.
Only did 30 damage.
So it actually seemed to sort of be relatively consistent from what we saw on the last map. Their comms are kind of remaining the way we expected it to be. Didn't really say anything special, kind of just calling out the items where it was, locations. Very sort of typical stuff I think we're hearing in 2v2.
Yeah, unfortunately not really able to evade that protection too much. We're now seeing a 10 frag advantage. So despite Myztro being backed up against the wall, they're not able to continue delivering right now. They are under such a monumental amount of pressure over the next possibly 10 minutes. They've got to get something done. I really feel like they've got to keep challenging for this room, and it's about really investing into the fights now. They've won the room. Sparty kills himself. I think he did that deliberately. It looked like it.
Yeah, that was one of those trade situations with the rockets going off.
Like, I don't know. I think he was on the statue or something.
Well, either way, unfortunately hasn't done much for their lead. 13 frags now separating these guys. I think in this situation, this is where the experience is going to come into play. Quad is about to spawn, but for another time. Myztro EU, they're controlling the LG room, but they do need to start piling in towards the middle.
Guys, again, we hear you loud and clear. We're going to jump into AMD as they go for this quad.
Оба снизу. Хорошо.
Мегу беру.
Я разобью тотемы сверху. Разбил.
Не пойду. На красном, на красном они, помоги.
Блин, я далеко. Два тотема сверху. Ладно.
Иду.
Cool. Shout out to that dodge, that shotgun. Just the confidence to stand point blank and not move with quad. Typical Cooler right there.
Cooler dodge is the funniest and the best in the business. He is such a god. And you could hear my Russian is not good at all, but I know that the horror show is, excuse the pronunciation. That's a good sign right there. That was Latromi happy with the current situation.
And I think why wouldn't they be? They have such a frag lead, and they are just continuing to go. If they lose someone, it's going to be a 1-1, so no harm done. They're going to remain exactly in the same situation. And it really is going from good to better for AMD at this point in time.
Well, the thing is, we've seen some of these kind of leads happen in the past, but also comebacks. Maybe not to the extent of this 18, but 10, 15 frag leads have been crushed on a map like Corrupted Keep. I'm really curious, can they hold the lead all the way to the end and manage to get themselves through?
Cooler, he's just been straight up 2v1ing so consistently on these maps, and he's making it look effortless against some of the best Quake Champions players in the world. I mean, we can't forget that Razy and Sparty are 2 of the best players in the business.
Oh yeah,
and it's just looking so almost easy for AMD at this point.
I don't want to cast sort of a negative spell on this at all, but it goes to show there's been some degradation in the Myztro EU camp, and Sparty and Razy falling like this. I can see a lot of these teams being fairly close together, but there's no way they should be losing a hard 2-0 versus AMD. There's some mismatch in strategy. They're maybe not synchronizing as well as they could have. There's certainly some more time we could spend to analyze it, but it's yeah, it's not as inspiring as I was really hoping it would be.
Well, I feel like there's no way to really tell how it's going to go until the land takes place, but there are signs of life there. Another double from Razy. He's been looking really strong, but the issue is at this point, you can have those situations and you're going to be feeling really good about it, but they have such a deficit. You worry if it's too little, too late.
Oh, gotta be careful. That's a difficult angle to play with. He did get some nice rocket damage, but I'm definitely going to have a bit of a focus watching the Myztro guys because they need to step it up.
This is their time to shine. They have no choice.
Let's see, Razy, he's looking like to have a forward position. Rocket damage in, Sparty from the sideline. Armor's been taken, and it's a beautiful 2 for nothing.
Perfect timing.
More like this. This is what we need to see from Myztro for them to stand a chance of making a comeback.
Sometimes teams, when they have this much of a lead, they can sometimes take their foot off the gas and kind of almost like just kind of remain on their steady pace to victory. I know AMD aren't prone to doing that, but they secure themselves another double. Latromi putting in the work.
Sparty falling into that heavy machine gun position. As soon as Sparty went down there, the AMD guys were like, you're in a weak spot. We're going to 2v1 you, and then we're going to turn around and we're going to 2v1 Razy unless he backs off, which unfortunately for him, he didn't.
I feel like some of these plays that they're going into a serious all-or-nothing mode, and whilst I agree with the fact that they need to make something happen and they have to do it right now, I don't think like massively piling into this situation is the way forward. Not when there's 15 frags left to go for AMD.
Well, they're still over 5 minutes too, so they don't need, if they're a bit weak, they can still try to wait for items or health bubbles a little bit. You know, they're allowed to play a little slow. I've got a 1-for-1. Oh, Sparty with a shotgun at the end, needing to make these positive exchanges.
Unfortunately, Razy goes down almost immediately. Every time there's something that looks like it might be beneficial for Myztro EU, it's swiftly undone by a return frag. Razy collects the quad, but at what cost? He goes down. Sparty picks up 2.
Huge, huge, huge power pickup. He's got the lightning gun as well. That is going to be Latromi dying. Time to really rack up the frags now. If they can make it within 9 or 8, they're going to be feeling much, much better. Machine gun helping Sparty. Sorry, helping Razy. Now to find the other. Does he know he's down there? Razy's got to be calling this out. He can't let it be a trade going towards AMD, and he doesn't. A few more seconds left, and there's one of the AMD players hiding behind the corner. Making it to 12. Okay, we could have hoped for more, but still positive. Oh, he goes for the rocket. He had LG ammo, and he goes onto a totem. I can't really afford to take this, and you could see his teammate is taking tons of damage too.
This is the kind of hastiness I'm a bit concerned about, because yes, now they are very much in danger territory, but Sparty could have easily given up a frag there, and it would have gone from 41 to 42, and with this late into the game, they're frags that you can't give up. You just straight up can't do it.
He's got to be able to trade on this. There's another totem. He's able to heal up. But there's the AMD guys are there.
Oh my god.
Razy's down below and he's not able to help. Cooler's absolutely stacked. He's looking to re-extend that lead. I believe that was Razy managing to take the mega health, but he's gone, and then Sparty's over the other side. There's no like support network between the Myztro players right now. It's one dropping at a time, like you were mentioning earlier.
And I feel like at this stage, the LG room just became almost unusable for EU. If Myztro EU try and go for one of these teleporters now, they're at great risk of, again, taking that damage for free. And now there's only 6 frags left for AMD. You can't lose a single one. Not to something like that. It has to be a fight that you lose it from.
Well, let's see, it's really last hurrah, but you can see Razy suicide. Sparty goes down. I'm trying to find the silver linings right now, but they're just, it's just destroyed. It's just not there anymore. You can't be losing this lead. The Latromi and Cooler, they've done all the legwork. They've put themselves in such perfect spots. A 1-for-1 trade. This is going to go to Sparty. Latromi's still fighting it.
Wait, hang on a minute.
How is he dodging that much? I don't understand. There was still tons of stack on Sparty, but what on earth?
I think just little things like that is why I think this win is going to be so nigh impossible now for Myztro EU at this point. I mean, they've given it a valiant effort, but AMD, they've just turned up to play. They haven't been deterred by their loss in the upper bracket. And to be honest with you, these guys moving on into tomorrow's games, it's not a surprising result. They've been looking on fire from start to finish. And I feel like this map is on the verge of ending.
That's crushing way to go out of the tournament, in my opinion. Especially when you had a better performance in the winner bracket, something that you could really could have transformed into a victory.
Well, unfortunately for Myztro EU, it really is just a matter of delaying the inevitable at this point. A real testament to how AMD have actually approached this approach 2v2 in a very, very unique way. And clearly it's worked out. We'll see how far they can get later, but I know it's almost like, you know, we're talking as if this map is over, but it very much is.
It is. It's totally done. And you know what? I have questions about both of the types of practice that these teams have, but I really like the basis of how Cooler and Otromi work, where they're playing, I think, with the right champions at least, and they have a very good understanding of what's going on. Big congrats right there to AMD making it 2-0 over Myztro to get through to day 3, but Myztro saw lackluster there. I've like less of their practice. It started off very good in the year and it's got worse and worse. I really think they're not practicing enough Visor and using Doom too much. I think that was a huge mistake. I saw a lot of European teams starting to move away from Doom about a month ago, and for some reason Myztro have been playing with it a lot. And you can see now that they did make the switch to Visor in the tournament, I mean, you don't have the practice behind you to be as effective as you can with it.
I feel like with this in mind in tournament, it can be easy to underestimate how significant it can be to make sure if you're going to use a different champion in tournament, you need to put in the hours